So what are the lessons to be learned from a black swan crisis like this that we're currently in? And before I start with the lessons to be learned from this, it's also important to know that black swan events are not just meant for countries or companies. They could also mean a black swan event that pertains to you personally. So if as a result of this pandemic, your business goes into liquidation and you end up without a job, that becomes your personal black swan event. And the reason is that, 4 or 5 weeks ago, you were working for a business that was financially sound, it was healthy, had a great future, and all of a sudden, here you are 4 or 5 weeks later, the business goes into liquidation. That was, as far as you personally are concerned, that was completely unpredictable. It has a massive impact on you personally and your family. If you look at it now retrospectively, you say, if we were faced by a massive event like this, if I knew about this, maybe I could have predicted it. So, black swan events, could affect individuals as much as it affects countries or companies, on that macro level. So what are the lessons? So is it possible to prepare for a black swan event like the coronavirus event? It's not possible to predict it, but we can prepare for something like this, or for events of an extreme nature and of this magnitude. So we need to take the lessons out of this crisis that we're in right now and make sure that we plan for that in our business continuity planning going forward, that should we be hit by another pandemic like this, that we are prepared for it better than what we were now. The next point there, all black swan events have the same 3 characteristics as I already mentioned. They're extremely rare, they extreme in the impact that they cause, and they are retrospectively predictable. So what we need to do as business leaders is that we need to look at our businesses in particular and think of any other potential black swan events that could face your business. And a black swan event might just be unique to your particular business, not necessarily your industry, or it might just be your entire industry, or it could be, bigger than that. But you need to be aware of what could affect or impact on your particular business going forward, and that must be part of your planning and risk planning and strategic planning going forward. The next point, are your strategic plans and financial forecasts still valid? Clearly, that needs to be reviewed going forward now. And that needs to be done as a matter of urgency. You need to have a look at all your plans, your strategic plans, be it a 1-year plan, 3-year, 5-year plan. You need to review all those assumptions that you use to build your strategic plan on. Are they still the same? You need to be aware of what's happening in your macro environment, and you need to review all of that. Whatever tool you use to do that strategic analysis, whether it's a SWOT analysis or a pestle analysis or whatever tool you use, you need to use that again and review and reconsider all the factors that might impact on your business strategically. And then amend your strategic plans, amend your financial forecasts, and make sure that you are in a space where you are now comfortable with all your plans post this pandemic going forward. That's a very important next step, and I'm sure a lot of executives are already busy with that and revising all their plans for the rest of the year. The next point, as you cannot prepare for the unknown, what about disaster recovery plans, business continuity plans for several potential black swans in the future? So we must be realistic that this will not be the only crisis that we will face in the near future. There will be similar events, maybe not of a similar magnitude, but we need to be prepared. So we must prepare for the unknown. We cannot predict when it will happen, but we must be prepared when it happens. So your BCPs needs to be dusted off. They needs to be reviewed and tested against the current crisis that we're in, and see how did it stack up. Were we well prepared, or what changes do we need to make? Okay. The next bullet, do you have to have a multinational or global response plan to this crisis? So if you're a company that are dealing with stakeholders internationally, you need to be aware of how this is impacting on them, because the whole world is being impacted by this pandemic, and you need to take that into account in your planning, because there will be a ripple effect back from them to you, or from you to them. So as the entire value chain has been compromised, you need to be aware of that, and you need to take that into account in your planning and your communication with all your various stakeholders. And then the last point there, do you need a joint strategic plan with government or public sector departments on generic issues of common interest? We've seen that out of this particular pandemic, is that there are a lot of joint meetings taking place between government and the private sector to find solutions to the crisis that we're in. And maybe some of the learnings we can take out of this is that post this pandemic, we need to continue with that. As the government is a stakeholder in any business that we run, we need to make sure that we keep those partnerships going and do some joint planning strategically with the government as a partner going forward.